Welcome back to Connect Conversation Style by Hidden Hideout. Today I'm delighted to be joined by the man behind Primitiv Evolve, Mr. Dean Hepburn. Starting mate.
Hey, how are we doing? You all good?
I'm good mate, yourself?
Yes, we got here eventually after cutting about in the local scheme and stuff.
No mate, thanks for taking the time to come through obviously and just kind of talk your story, talk everything Primitiv Evolve, telling us all about that and obviously getting into a lot of kind of things that I've actually not spoke about with anyone in terms of exercise science and kind of human body performance. So talk to me in terms of yourself. Where did life start for you in terms of those early influences?
Early influences in sport and stuff, I was pushed more so towards rugby from a month an early age. I think it's maybe scrapping a wee bit as well, shock horror now, ended up in combat sports for a number of years. But I think that was the sort of the motive, was less football, wanted it more towards a contact sport. Raised mostly by my mum. Her dad passed away when I was younger and stuff as well, due to drug overdose and stuff like that, so a wee bit of turbulent background, then got involved with rugby for an early age. I think that was sort of consumed me a little bit, the sports side of things. Drifted away from that a good bit when I learned to drive, discovered deep fried doner calzones, got a wee bit chubby there.
Yeah, I've never had them in the class.
I don't know if that's maybe a Fife thing or what it is. It's a Scottish thing if you put anything in the fryer. And then ignited a love with boxing about age 18.
Yep.
And still connected with my original boxing coach and stuff as well, coaching at his gym with a grappling class and stuff, and competed under him and stuff like that. Had not the best of weight cuts and stuff. It was probably in and around that sort of era where weight cutting and stuff was a wee bit on the back foot for fighters and stuff. Yep. It was very much done a bit tongue in cheek, a wee bit backwards, cutting weight several days out and stuff like that. And I think that maybe was a wee planted seed for me. That then led to what is now Primitiv Evolve, which is pretty much a lifestyle brand more than it is sports orientated.
Yeah, it really stands out to me, you know, in terms of obviously when you'd messaged me, and kind of we did a wee chat, but it was so unique, you know. I've spoken about it before, you know, not just being like, you know, I used to be like JR Fitness or like something that's almost like a completely different path to go down. Obviously spoke there about, you know, rugby. Also spoke about boxing and obviously early age. Were you always into that kind of human performance element, or did that come later? I
think it was maybe more so through the weight cutting side of things as well, getting sort of invested in the UFC and seeing as well, like when I wanted to grapple and stuff as well, if I hadn't fueled efficiently for going to training or whatever, as you would really sort of feel the repercussions of that in your session, either pre-session or post-session. You'll know yourself, you have too much fatty foods before you train, as it doesn't sit too well in the GI tract, versus something that's like, say, whether it's Haribo or fruit or whatever you're going to go for, as it seems to have a better digestibility.
Yeah, in terms of that GI tract you talk about, obviously a lot of people who watch, especially these conversations, give them a wee kind of almost a dummy's guide to a GI tract.
So what I mean is by, if you were to eat something that's like a fibre dense food, like broccoli, and you go and try and train, then you're going to find something like that in your digestive transit, which is how your food is distributing itself through your gut towards what would then obviously be excreted at the other end. Is it's not going to make a great fuel. That, and you're not going to yield energy from it like you would if it was something that has low residue, low fibre. That could be something like yogurt with fruit in it, things like that as well. Would make a better pre-workout meal than would something like a plate full of broccoli, if you will.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting to hear you talk about it, and I'm sure we're going to go into depth about different kind of topics today. I suppose you're going to go into depth about different topics today, but I like the way you said excrete there. That was a really nice way of saying it. I'm actually
Jobby would be the
top professional. In terms of obviously that, what moment in your life made you rethink who or what you wanted to become?
I felt like when I was on the roofs, so I was like kind of pressured again, as I mentioned, like largely raised by my mum, good stepdad and stuff as well, and was largely pressured towards a trade, like a trade background, which again served me well for what it was, but there was always like a kind of friction when I was in the roofing industry, less so when I was working in the private side, because again, if the private side you're working with a wee bit more like-minded people, something like the council, it's like very large squads of guys, there's a lot of bitchiness and stuff goes on as well, and again met some good guys through that, but it's a job where, days like today, is like it's not a good day to be outside for 8 hours a day.
Aye.
And then polar opposite being true in the summer, being ginger as well, being stuck in a roof. It's like
it's unlucky that you've not got a good genetics.
Yes.
So it's proper Scottish genetics to carry tandem while out in the sun.
And I never ever felt like I was enjoying it. Like, it didn't matter what I was doing. I never done homers and stuff, and the guys I knew that were doing homers, as it were, they were making fat bank. But for me, I couldn't think of anything worse than doing that 5 days a week. Then also my free time doing that, which again is probably why the hobbies of sport was just such a strong driver as well, and still is. And then started listening to things like Joe Rogan, and that cliche, as Joe Rogan changed my life part. But again, it was like red hot Joe Rogan sort of wave coming through, being involved in combat sports, listening to like 3 hours podcasts, people speaking about coffee, or again, guys like Nick Curzon, who done Speed of Sport, who worked with like Rafael dos Anjos and a whole host of UFC fighters, hearing the kind of stuff they were delivering about pretty much exercise science principles. Rhonda Patrick being like nutrition centred and stuff, just sort of started to spark things in me. And then I would be reading books on my lunchtime. Boys would be playing cards for loose change and stuff. I'd be sitting in a van listening to podcasts, reading books, and I was like, I always felt a wee bit odd in life as it is, partly like because of the background and stuff and some things I was exposed to, but then even more so when you're sitting reading a book on a building site. And again, I ended up scrapping with a couple of guys at work and stuff as well. That was probably an even bigger catalyst as well. But right,
was it anything to do with that, or was it else?
So obviously building trade is laced with like substance abuse and stuff like that. Again, that was also something that was a wee bit prevalent, as like living for the weekend and stuff. So I was basically like on a Friday at that specific place where everybody would like smoke dope at work and whatever else. So you're on a roof, you're high as a kite literally. Boss had come in, and this big chubby guy was sort of mouthing off a wee bit, something a day along the lines of try to dob the boys in about the weed side things. So he'd went away. I'd been ripping him back, calling him Haribo because he was chubby. A great advertisement for my business for people struggling with weight issues. And
it's in a past life, though. That's a past life.
Again, it was warranted that. It was fair game. It was fair game, and basically the result in a wee bit of tussle. He'd ended up on the floor, and that complimented my jiu-jitsu at the time. And it was like just a cascade for there as well. I was like, right, I need out of here ASAP. It's like college doesn't start till August, September time. I'd already sort of applied my thought towards that, contacted them. Started then milking the sick a wee bit as well because I was getting ping pong between squads. I didn't fit in. I didn't want to work as well. Like it's not a job where you can hide roofing. It's like it's very physical for the start to the finish of the job. It's not really an easy job. If you're slacking, it means somebody else is picking up the slack. Fortunately for whoever was working at the time, whether it was somebody about to retire or whether it was like a young guy, and generally if you're working with the boys going to retire, you pick up the slack.
Yep.
So I was like, nah, like, we are 50-50 all the way, old Fred. And again, it cascaded for that to sort of milking the sick a wee bit till I could go and study. Then that led to getting school qualifications, stuff I hadn't really bothered my backside to get, like hires and advanced hires, which then meant I had to go and acquire all them in science, maths, and just other qualifications that you needed to get into a degree. So it was like a fast access course over a year that was essentially 2 years worth of work. Then got into Napier Uni, and that's what's led to this. As soon as I started college, I started the Primitiv Evolve page.
Yep.
Go back and you can see all the old posts for like 2016 and stuff, and like keto days and everything like that, all the fads, all the nonsense under the sun, posting photos of your lunchbox and stuff like that. And fast forward to whatever it is now, which seems to be growing arms and legs as I choose to develop myself as well. Yeah,
and it's all, you can see it very clearly, and also the wind has decided to try and disrupt you there. It's absolutely baffling. I actually thought a bin was about to fly off that, and I was so
it's a pleasant reminder to like stick in at this.
It's like that, you're reminded of where you are in Scotland. Did you mean?
Change Tuesdays for me after time gone by to being stuck in that.
I know. It's like a wee reminder in it, and obviously you said there building that brand. You trained as an exercise scientist after that, I assume.
Yeah, so I'd done the year at college, then went to uni.
What did that path teach you?
How to critically think, with everything. Like, there's so much nonsense in the world right now, and again, there's like a lot of validity with a lot of things people are saying, whether it be political things or not or whatnot. actually let me sort of look at both sides of the equation. I went in there and I'm sitting in lecture halls and people are like, what's the best diet? And I'm like, oh, I don't know what this is. I've seen Joe Rogan at least 100 different episodes and I'm like, low carb, high fat. And I'm like, cool, why is that? And you're like, cannot say to an academic in a room full of people because somebody on Joe Rogan said so. So you try and butcher the justification. Turns out there is no best diet. Best diet's the one you can stick to. And again, they would educate you on that. They would show you papers, they would show you statistics and would let you critically think about things, have you debate things, like with a ethics module, which was basically teaching you about the difference between ethics and morals and getting you to debate stuff like the use of the data in Nazi experiments. Like, should we use the experiments in Nazi and use that data to better humanity? And then they would sit and have you in a sort of roundtable discussion. And then they would also, the lecturer at the time, he would ask you, so what do you think my opinion is on this? Do you think, I think it should be used for the betterment of humanity. He was a very stoic man for govern, former military guy and stuff like that, so very unusual for an academic. And again, he would have thought to use it, and it was the opposite. He actually showed that he was a sort of standout scientist as well. And again, the penny kind of drops there as the exterior of somebody's not really what is actually going on under the surface as well. It's maybe just the face that they're wanting to show you when they're in their day job.
Yeah, it's quite deep there, isn't it? It's in terms of trying to always find the point.
Yeah.
But sometimes it needs to be done.
Exactly.
To make the point. In terms of you spoke there, kind of touched on Primitiv Evolve, talking about building that up. What was the original idea behind it?
The sort of the ethos behind it, I would say, and still is very much centred around things we do. Maybe not so much primordial, but again, it was more so tied in with the name. Is like if you're sitting eating with friends, or like discussions like this, going to music gigs, or whatever it is that tickles your fancy, creative outlets, whether it's artistic outlets, whether it's combat sports. Again, another sort of subset of art is the fabric that sort of keeps, or I find it's what keeps me grounded to some of my most meaningful experiences. And again, the more I try and explore who am I, who do I want to be, where am I going, as it's those things that centre me. Again, with the allure of social media and stuff, I think we're all guilty, scrolling far more than we probably like to, and we're manipulated by it. We're manipulated into buying things, but it's a very hollow buzz. Don't know if you've ever grilled your phone to the stage that you're looking at it late at night, probably past your bedtime, you pick up again and you just swipe. And even if, for me, I've had my social media apps like 2 swipes along in a folder, and I'll still catch myself, go swipe, click, click, and then I'm on it, and I'm in the feed again. Again, it's meaningless, but I'm aware of it, whereas the things like this, days like today, again, are pivotal for me, things that I get to grow through. I get to communicate with guys like yourselves, get to travel through here. Not only that, is my career allowed me to be in a position where I can reach out to guys like you and see if you're looking for anyone you'd like to come on. I think that's the sort of pillars, if you will, with Primitiv Evolve, is those things, like things like this connection. And again, the name of the podcast gives it away as well.
Yeah.
No matter how much you try and escape it, if you want to be a monk and live on your own, as you see loneliness kills. I guess I say that as an only child as well, I could relate to being lonely at times. And I think it's also why I enjoy this so much as well, is because I get to interact with a wide array of people, presented with some of the stuff I've been presented with I didn't expect I would get, because I set out to do a lot of exercise and nutrition based stuff, and then next thing you got clients phoning you and they're talking to you about opening the door to dead bodies, or going across the road to see their neighbour that's on the brink of dying, and then days later opening the door to a family member's dead body and stuff. They're presenting you with real world issues, and I have to present them with something. I can't just sit and say, cool bud, it's like you've been tracking your calories. It's not the right time or place.
No.
And you'll maybe see it yourself. You've coached probably hundreds of kids. There'll be things that will present. You'll see them maybe years later, and you'll stand out if you've passed them on something that they maybe you never even thought they were going to carry into adulthood, or even if it's a friend or anyone. And again, I guess that's the ethos and the sort of the way Primitiv Evolve's going as well. It's transcendent. It's something I never thought it would as well.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's very, very cool.
No, it is really cool. And as I said to you, when you originally messaged me, and I'd obviously scroll through your page, I seen that right away in terms of the ethos, in terms of everything else around it. And now this isn't down in anybody that is fresh into that kind of personal training world or that online coaching world. You know, everybody learns, don't they, with time and experience. And, you know, seeing a person not just as somebody to batter in the gym or tell them to track calories, there's so much more, as you said, to that. You know, it's not like they come and tell you they've had a shit weekend. You know, like, I don't know, I've had a shit weekend, I'm feeling really bad. You know, why are you feeling bad? What's the reasons behind that? Look deeper into that rather than going, so did you get to train then, or did you know, there's so many more.
You've not logged your sets or reps, bro, what's gone down?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? There's so much more to it, and that's why I was really excited to have you on, because I feel like there's a wealth of knowledge in your head, especially, that can even wider than mine, to be able to look at it down all the alleys and look down all the paths to try and find the solutions. In terms of the name, obviously you've kind of touched on it, but did it come to you right away, or how did you get to the name of Primitiv Evolve?
Something I sort of swithered on. I have something I've mentioned in times gone by as well. I had a Dutch guy I interacted with. First time I was in Amsterdam, somewhere I've been like 15 times. It just seems to resonate with it. Somewhere I'm quite openly say I could live there, if not soon, as like a longer term goal where like property or something would be viable. Sitting at the back of a rave with my mate was silent as he was most of the time. Like, wouldn't really call him much of a mate, maybe more of a leech. But again, nonetheless, it's like
we'll not get deep into that.
at that time in my life, he was there.
Yeah.
And stone cold silence as always. Dutch guy sits down beside me with his ex-missus at the time. Starts talking away to me. I'm like, cool, this is like, and in hindsight, it's very Dutch. Yeah, it's like that's just who they are. Is they make a lot of effort. Gets talking to him and stuff like that. He gives me his email address. I'm like, cool, this guy must trust me. I was like, here's my email address, and I mean, iMessage and stuff was about at that time. I'm 34, so it wasn't too long ago. And he just would always like prod me about it. I'd be like, fucking hate this job, blah blah blah. Like, no way out, no hope. Poor me. And then he sort of presented me the questions like, well, what's the options? Can you study? Can you get paid to study? Alright, can you work part-time? So what does the sum of those things equate to? Is that enough to live? Like, what would you need to sacrifice? Like, what else can you do to sustain yourself financially, to pursue something that's not going to make you miserable? And again, that then led to what we'd previously mentioned. And I would bounce ideas back and forth with him. He was DJing and stuff at the time and stuff as well, but a creative freelance web engineer and stuff as well, like very nice career, still a very nice career as well. And again, to be freelance as well means you're operating on your terms. So again, I would say like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And knew what I was inspired by in terms of podcasts, and we had a lot of similar grounds on that front with mixed martial arts and stuff. And almost like it was coming for somebody who's seen somebody maybe needed somebody to lean on, who was a wee bit older, a wee bit wiser. And I think it was through ping pong and stuff back and forth with him as well. I was eventually like, nah, that sticks. Because I would be saying stuff, I'd be like, that's too long. It needs to be like the syllables need to come down. It needs to be this, it needs to be that in terms of like branding. And again, branding's something that you know nothing about when you start a business. You start and you're like, people want something that's cool. They don't just want it to be Dean's Fitness or whatever and stuff like that. They want it to be something that they can be globally recognised with. Like Nike, wearing Nike trackies. Why am I wearing Nike trackies? It's like, is it Michael Jordan? Is it who else has been CR7? Yeah. Like, where does it end with somewhere like Nike? It's a go-to.
Yeah, and obviously with Primitiv Evolve, was it built from vision, frustration, or necessity?
I think at that point in my life it was a necessity to make the change, but I think even if I hadn't started this, I would have forged a career, whether it would have been maybe like a dietitian with the NHS or something. But I would say, looking back on it, probably necessity. I used to speak a lot about it, like as I mentioned, this was like living for the weekend a lot, and somebody that does like quite deep and philosophical chat, sometimes too heavy for certain situations, that I would always revert back to like those gatherings where it was late Sunday nights when you were working the next day and you'd been out for Friday, and the craziness, like still talking absolute nonsense. I would continually revert back to what was important, and it was those sort of foundations. That was the music, the community, the shared experience with like-minded people. And I think, again, that's why I try and keep that as the fabric of what Primitiv Evolve is as well, because it's still something that rings true to me. It's still something I try and make an effort with. I have people that maybe have to finish up coaching for financial or personal reasons or headspace reasons. I'll continually just try and keep them as part of that community as well, because again, it's nice to have your bills paid. It's nice to be able to take a day off like today and come and be here, but I would rather sacrifice some of what could progress that and benefit me for people I know that have made themselves vulnerable to somebody else as well.
Yeah, and it's obviously, we'd spoke weeks and weeks ago about this. It's not like you messaged me yesterday and turned up today. It's like you had to take a couple of weeks to be like, right, we'll do this day, I'll move people about to try and fit it in. You know, it's more, as you said, it's real world problem, isn't it? It's not just, you didn't just like turn up today because I messaged you yesterday. It was a case of that's been obviously planned weeks in advance, and that goes to what you were saying there. In terms of the fitness industry, do you feel like it's full of frauds and copycats? Do you feel like a lot of false people?
I think people maybe model themselves on the wrong types of role models. I think the bodybuilding community has a lot of influence on fitness. Like everybody loves to be shredded, as lean as you can be and stuff like that. And again, you'll know yourself, if you're chasing something for your physique, it's never enough. You could be depleted, you could be eating just above what your basic needs are. You could be looking the best you've ever looked, and everybody's reaffirming that for you. And you're not even going to compete in bodybuilding or anything, you're just doing it because you're...
It's almost like a vanity.
Yeah. And again, it's good to have like physical goals, but it seems like a lot of it lacks substance. You do an extreme cut, you maybe do a recomp, and you get good photos. You maybe reminisce on those photos for however long. Then you end up with an eating disorder, largely seen in females as well. Some have experienced firsthand. And not only that, they stop their menstrual cycle and stuff, speaking more so towards females exclusively. For men, probably you're not going to be excited by the look at a female if she's around you, even if it's a 10. And it creates a really strange subculture where performance enhancers are the norm. And again, not something that I have an issue with, something I speak transparently about as well. I feel like they hold place when used responsibly and stuff. But it's when you see the influence on young men as well, getting the curly-headed types in the gym and stuff as well, the young gym bros that are... And again, these boys train hard, they're in very good shape. But you see how quickly they turn to performance enhancers. I'm talking like guys as a high school I have seen firsthand get caught buying performance enhancers and stuff. It's not funny. I laugh because when you're that age, you're as wide as a Clyde.
We all do it at one point.
But I've seen it firsthand through people I'm associating with and stuff as well. Their kids have been caught buying like peptides and anabolics and everything. Is like it's not cooler, but it's advocated through what is a fitness community right now.
Yeah.
And again, you got people like Joe Rogan and stuff who are very open with the TRTing, which has probably been a big catalyst, especially for older men. But it's now transcending back the way you got the Trend Twins and stuff like that, who are abusing something that's probably going to put them in an early grave. We're actually speaking about the side effects and everything else that comes with it as well. And I think as a subset of that comes the bare basic coaching that you get as well. It's just going to look to strip as much body fat as we can off you, hopefully add on some muscle mass along the way, and we're going to use that to leverage my business because everybody loves social proof. And again, it's why I don't post too much of what's going on transformation wise, is because it's everywhere. It's like shock horror, somebody can track their calories, they can get in good nick, and they can use that to make me look good. It's not me that's done the work, they've done the work, I've provided them with the tools and the coaching, but it's very much come for the individual. But the business owner will take that and they can make copious amounts of money, and they might not even tell you the amount of drugs they're telling them to take as well. I know certain coaches who have had guys on bodybuilding level cycles, and again, they've had people overdose on testosterone. I didn't know that was a thing, that could happen, but somebody didn't know the dosing of what they were doing was right. Told me in confidence that they'd overdosed on testosterone, and I was like, I don't even know what does that look like? It's crazy that somebody's then prescribing that. And meanwhile, they said coach doesn't have any qualification, not even a level 2, level 3, as they're just winging it off the back of their career and what they're doing with their physique. Without speaking too much, because I could almost guarantee if anybody for Fife side was to listen, they could probably highlight that and pinpoint the exact individual involved as well, which is not cooler.
But obviously, it's something I obviously like about yourself is you're very open to speak about these things. I feel like nowadays in this world, nobody wants to have an opinion on things. Nobody wants to speak about these things. Everything seems to get brushed under the carpet, and it's like, let's just avoid that. In terms of people taking stuff like test, like it's something that I've not seen personally, but you hear it a lot more. It's almost common talk now. It's like, oh, do you take test? Oh, I've took test. Oh, I know somebody's took test. It's almost very common. What's your opinions? Obviously, you said performance enhancers have their place, but in terms of people taking, tests, for example, what's your?
I would say it's a very personal decision. For some people, they may do it because of some sort of insecurity complex or maybe sexual dysfunction related. If it is, again, there's probably more to be addressed there as well. Like one, if you've never had sexual dysfunction before in a certain period in your life, you're then experiencing that. Is it who you're associating with in terms of relationships and stuff, or is there something else going on? Is it lifestyle related in terms of using for aesthetics? Hopefully, people are aware of the potential dangers of it as well, especially at larger doses. Like most guys, I see like casual gym goers, they're not just running some like testosterone. Because testosterone on its own and stuff is like prescribed, like legally, almost worldwide. Give you bought over the counter, legally worldwide. Black Lab gear is everywhere as well. Not to say that Black Lab gear is any better nor worse, it seems to all be coming from similar places. But most people then just jump on a cycle like 2 or 3 compounds. So normally you're not aware of what one does, which is the one that your testicles are producing, that being testosterone. You're going to throw in something else which works on a totally different pathway as well, which comes with its own whole host of side effects as well. And then maybe just to add insult to injury, you've got to throw an oral on there as well, because again, it is like in true Scottish fashion, we like to do things in excess. So again, why take one steroid when we could take 3? And even at that as well, like guys are known that have been using a couple of compounds, injectables. They'll then take something like Anavar at like 50 milligrams a day or 250 milligram Anavar a day, which is ridiculous. If you look at your pro level bodybuilders and stuff, they're not even using that much themselves. But what we've got is casual gym goers taking like maybe 5 times what an elite level bodybuilder's taking.
Would you say it's quite dangerous?
It is 100% dangerous, and again, people I've had working with me, I've had them get bloods. I've like hounded them to get bloods because they're quite open and transparent as to what goes on. And I'm like, when you get blood work here and see, you've never had bloods. Like we're kind of avoiding it a wee bit. Like just keep at them and see. And one of the guys, it's basically I end up in a lot of emergency appointments for him as well. And they approached me and was like, thank you, like essentially saved my life, because he was on a great spot. I had to do like a lot of bloodletting, blood thinning, drugs and stuff like that as well. And that then meant he got to catch up with other things that was going on in his healthcare as well. Because again, he had a condition as well, which he was working his way through, which he was aware of, which meant other medications were involved. But by abusing your hormones in that regard, then meant you were just accelerating the inevitable, which would be the progression of that disease, which he had.
Yeah, and in terms obviously that you spoke about people working with you and people being openly honest with you, what do you, in terms of Primitiv Evolve, what do you focus on first when someone works for you or joins you in terms of mind, body or habits?
I try and find out their why. Obviously everybody they want to lose a wee bit of weight and things like that, and I'll not try and hit them with that too early on. I'll not try and go too direct to them, because if you don't have a trust with me and I'm like, well, what's your why? And I know you want to look good, but let's go a wee bit deeper than that, like what happened to you kind of stuff. I'm not going to be pushy like that, but I'm going to ask questions, open-ended questions that you're maybe going to present me with something as well. Like I know some athletes as well that the drive some of them have is ridiculous. Like they are getting up at 3 in the morning, they're doing 2 training sessions a day, they're working full-time jobs, they're on meal plans like 6 days a week, and it's trying to sort of weave your way through that as to it's a certain type of individual that's willing to do that. And it's trying to weave through that to find out what the why is, and what motivates them. Because again, motivation is an interesting thing. That's your ability to sustain your attention towards a desired thing. And again, it's going to dip, it's going to dwindle. People say you need to be disciplined and whatever else. But again, maybe the reverse is true. Could you be disciplined if you're not motivated? And vice versa. is try to sort of weave through that, and then you start to realise what's going on with people as well, maybe what they've been through or what they fear as well. And again, it changes a lot from men to women as well. That's one thing you see as well. It's very, very different.
Yeah, and obviously when people are coming to you and you're finding out their why, what's the hard truth that people need to hear in order to make that progress, to make that jump? You know, I know it obviously varies from person to person, but what's one hard truth you'd say people?
I'm not going to be able to present you with every answer that you're looking for. You're going to need to have some answers for the questions that are going to be presented to you. I could give you all the tools. I could give you the simple stuff like the calories, the macros, the training plan, lifestyle, things you could make around whatever you have. We could recommend supplements and we could have discussions at length, but there's going to be things that you're going to have to go within yourself to answer as well. And not everybody wants that. Some people just want a coach, they just want fitness related coaching, which again is absolutely fine as well. It's not something that I would reject to facilitate, but I very much try and provide the entire service. So years down the line for now, you'll know for a fact that you are presented with something that the penny might not drop in the moment when you're getting coached. But I had it with an individual who I've known for a lot of years, and randomly out the blue, popped me a message like 120 odd kilo. My message was now like sub 90 kilo again. And he was like, by the way, he's like, I know when we were working together and stuff, there was a wee bit of adherence issues and stuff. He's like, but everything you said in that, I'm still applying now. Now I'm 30 kilo down, so I just want to thank you and then let you know. Like stuff like that, you're like...
How'd that make you feel?
Well, when you're in the thick of it with the individual, it's tougher because you start to question yourself. You're like, what am I not providing him that he needs? Yep. And I'll even ask, I'm like, if there's something I'm not providing, or you feel like I could facilitate it, please let me know, because I can then try and elevate myself when reason. I can kind of pick you up and drop you off at the gym every day and be there when you're going through some of your hardest struggles. If you've got a lot of friction in your relationship, I can't be in the house trying to mediate the debate. Yep. But I was like, at the very least, like present me with it as well and see if I could be some sort of an outlet, whether it's just a support network or not. And to see that come back full tilt further down the road it's nicer, because it actually was worthwhile. And again, I would rather not be doing it purely for the money. I'll be very vocal with people. I'm like, you do not need to keep paying me. You've been quiet during this period. Like, again, just let me know. If you want to be on board or not, let me know, because I can control the payment on my side. I can cancel it. We can curb it here. And it's nothing personal. It used to feel a wee bit personal when people would drop off or whatever. Felt very much like an attack or like they're going to go with somebody else, and same with other trainers are, as you could never engage.
It's natural, isn't it? It's just that it's
like they're trying to steal my job. Whereas now I realise that as everybody.
You managed to kind of block off between the kind of personal and the professional. Yeah. In terms, obviously, you said there about your clients. You know, when they come to you, they need to sometimes look inwards and find the answers in themselves. Do you feel that's something that you've learned about yourself as you've progressed professionally, or do you feel there's other things that clients have taught you about yourself?
I would say I'm still learning things for clients, but I would also say for a young age, again, being exposed to like drug overdose and death, there was a lot of things I was confronted with that presented me with a coldness. It wasn't until I met certain people in my personal life that sort of showed me the flip side of that. People who could trump me. If we were playing Trauma Top Trumps, it was like now being around people that could trump me every day of the week, yet the energy they're bringing to the equation every day is like level 10. Whereas I would carry that wee gripe, almost like I was a wee bit hard done by, but you would see how they were interacting with the real world, whether it was people that had done them wrong, whether it was people less fortunate in them, where it was helping somebody, and again, not even in a coaching sense, just purely because of the person they were. I think that was a big learning curve for me as well, as seeing like somebody that's a bundle of joy that could bring that to you, and you be around that a lot, to be like, it wasn't great at certain times, but you're level 10. I was maybe 7 or 8. It's like you are able to show me the light, if you will. And again, same's true with some clients. People that have been presented with suicide and addiction and stuff as well, not only helps me relate with things I've experienced, but even more so in terms of seeing what they go on to achieve inside less than a year, from like near-death experience through their own choice to reconnecting with family that had disowned them, and kids and everything like that, to then see also that the turbulence didn't stop as well, and how are they overcoming that, and also then leveraging me as a support network as well, and even to the point where they are apologising to me for presenting me with it and saying, I know you're not a therapist, and again, something I'm very clear about as well, because it's a big legality issue in that regard as well. I would never ever pose as something I'm not, but again, to be that sort of support network where people value your insight and know that when they don't want to also burden you something that may be that heavy, but also do they trust you enough to talk to you about it regardless of age gap, whether I'm older or whether I'm younger, as these are people that are in professional positions that you would see, and then if you hear the backstory, and again you probably will with some of these individuals as well, because some are pushing towards public speaking and things like that as well, is to see what they achieve professionally. And then again, as I was saying, in like less than a year where they were, even though professional situation was equal or slightly lesser then, to inside a year see what they overcome by going within, connecting with spirituality and things as well, again, which is, I think spirituality gets a lot of grief, and again it's a very individual thing. There's so many different faiths, but faith and spirituality are not the same thing. You could be bound to the planets and the universe and the Anunnaki if you want, or you could be bound to an Abrahamic religion. And again, I think there's something to be said in all of that as well. I don't personally know what to make of all of it. I try and absorb as much as I can. I've people who are sort of mentoring me, if you will, purely because they like me for whatever reason.
Yep.
I older Greek guy just took a shine into me. He was like forced conversation on me for long enough at Bannatyne's there, and has become a good friend. And
Yep.
again, has just sat and just dissected my business, dissected my life, and presented me a lot of self-development tools as well, which is transcended into this. And
Yep.
probably make me sit and speak comfortably as well about the sort of questions I've had to ask within myself as well. A big one is something you'll see me harp on a wee bit sometimes on socials, is be, do and have, which is like, who do I need to become to do what I need to do to have what I want to have, whereas most people end up with have, but they've not went through the be or the do, or they've maybe done the thing, but they've not became that person. And I heard that on a podcast recently as well from somebody, I can't remember off the top of my head who it was, but it was a very prolific person. I think it was maybe Matthew McConaughey, as he's doing the rounds.
I done it with Stephen Bartlett, I think, that one
And he
side.
spoke about becoming the persona, and again it just penny dropped as to the wee old Greek guy that's taken with his ring. Very, very successful as well, like exorbitant amounts of success, exorbitant amounts of money. Again, there is no financial exchange between me and him. It's just he likes, one, somebody that listens to him that's receptive.
Yep.
Two, somebody that's maybe remotely interesting to speak to as well. And again, as the things he's sort of planting within me to help me elevate what Primitiv Evolve is and myself, as you're then hearing somebody like Matthew McConaughey parrot on Diary of a CEO, and I think a lot of it stems from like NLP and Tony Robbins and
Yep.
things like along those lines.
All applicable stuff, isn't it? I think that's always a good thing when, you're watching, stuff like a Diary of a CEO, or watching Stephen Bartlett, or even Joe Rogan, whoever it might be, you're watching these guys and listening to, the guests they have on, or them, taking the stuff that they're saying and applying it, making it applicable. I think it's good. Now, listen, you don't need to, it doesn't need to be them, it could be somebody else, it could be somebody completely different, could be me, could be you. But, listening to someone, taking it on board, trying to make it applicable, I think is really, really important in terms of your values, obviously making them applicable to stuff you live by daily or stuff you try to include in your life. What are values what are the main, let's say the three main values you live by daily?
Big one that I've actually inherited from, so I've asked a lot of clients this. Some people have ignored it. A lot of people have ignored it when I ask them what their values are to define them, because I've sat and defined my values, and your values will underpin your personality. Biggest one I got back for several people, and it didn't dawn on me because potentially where we live, and we're very fortunate that we do have freedom. Even if times are tough and against you, unless you're held captive, like you have freedom, and it's one that I kept getting back to me, and I was like, it wasn't even on my list until then, and I was like, that's got to be number one, is freedom to choose, freedom to come here today, freedom to eat what you want at your leisure, and freedom to be able to think, hopefully, or at least outside of the algorithm anyway, is we don't have a government that is highly controlling every single piece of information we absorb. But it was a big one. It was a big one that it just kept coming back to me, and it wasn't on my list. Another one would be time in nature, to get away for the buzz. It's something that when you've got 40, 50 WhatsApp messages on your phone most mornings, and it's one of the first things you'll see to see how your day's going to be looking, is you look at it and there's I'm not going to use the term anxiety because I don't see myself as an anxious person, but there's like a tensity that comes with it. I was like, shit, I got shit to do. Like whether I take that first part of the morning for myself or not as well, which I'm quite selfish with, I have people that are looking for answers or are asking important questions or seeing, are we here today or what have you, is that when I can go to the Trossachs or whatever, go beside like Loch Lomond and up in Nevis and stuff, is that connection, again, probably ties in again with Primitiv Evolve, is another big one, is connecting with nature, and again reaffirmed by my elderly Greek friend as well. He'll read me when I'm looking a bit flat and a bit deflated, subdued, and he'll be like, oh, have you been here, have you been there? He's like, you should maybe go there on Sunday and take a drive up there and stuff. Big one as well, that he's hammered me with as well. That was a value, and I start doing it when things are getting a bit too much. Third one would be creative outlet, like to come on here, have a conversation with like-minded people, to be able to express myself in that regard, to go train martial arts, again called the arts for a reason, whether it be trying to draw, reconnecting with something from childhood. Again, nostalgia tends to be a big one that brings you some sort of inner peace, and DJing as well, or trying to DJ is a big one. Playing music and stuff like that, the culture that comes with that as well. It's given me a community from the start of Primitiv Evolve till now. Give me a common ground amongst partners I've been with and stuff as well. It's like a prerequisite when I was playing the algorithm on Tinder when I was single many years ago. It was like a deal breaker. It would be like, it would start to feed through what kind of music people are into. It was like a good tell as to what somebody was like as a person. That was my big three. We'll drop the Tinder chat, but it would be freedom, again, stolen from other people I was asking. And again, it was always the first one a lot of people would come at was freedom, and I was like, why is that not one of my values? So I was happy to be kidnapped as long as I can have time in nature and play the decks. So again, creative outlet, nature and freedom.
No, I love that, and it's actually really interesting you said there in terms of, you think back to hundreds of years ago now, obviously when you woke up in the morning, they never checked their phone to see what their day was going to look like. They'd always just look outside and be like, oh, what's the weather like today? Am I going to go and hunt? Where am I going to go? We'll go down and get water.
Woolly mammoth rug gets pulled back up to the chin.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy, isn't it? You think it's like sometimes people don't take a second to reflect and go, when you wake, the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is well, 95% of people would generally check their phone, wouldn't they? You check your phone, you check your messages, what's happening, what's going on, what am I doing, what's my day looking like, even your calendar, your diary.
It feels like there's a buzz to go get, almost like people that like a nicotine vape in the morning. It's something that the people I know that like the nicotine vapes say is they wake up craving it, so they blast it thinking it's going to help them get back to sleep. It's unanimous amongst the people I know that like to vape. And shocker, the dopaminergic buzz that activates your fight or flight nervous system, doesn't it? But again, phones are also dopaminergic, which means they produce dopamine. Dopamine is like in the pursuit of something. It's like guys that like to get on it. It's more so the pursuit of who's going to drop it off for you when they actually get it. There's a lack of fulfillment. Same is true with a phone. Like dopamine is dopamine. It is what we thrive off it. We're dopamine machines. And again, that thing with the phone, you'll probably find some of your most peaceful mornings are if you forgot to charge your phone and by chance it's died, which is rare, or where you could give yourself that bit of solitude away from it as well. Like not even check it, maybe turn your alarm off, try not to sweep up on the notifications, and just have that first couple of hours in the morning to yourself, which again I like personally to try and do when I can. Some days I've not got a choice, I have to be on the ball for the get-go. And again, you'll see maybe the same's true if you stay up late working the next night and you're just constantly hounding WhatsApp and keeping on top of coaching and stuff, is that next day there's like a delay in your ability to work out. You're almost like dopamine's out, and it's cascaded through the night into the next day.
Yeah.
And I'll find I'll postpone work a wee bit more at that end as well to try and just give myself that breathing space.
Yeah. In terms of Primitiv Evolve and, you know, building everything behind it, then exploring different people, finding them in terms of the failures. So, you know, we talk a lot about the success on the show. Do you have many failures that shaped Primitiv? There's mistakes that have been made along the way, or stuff you maybe even learned from?
I would say past relationships, definitely some of my behaviours are not good behaviours, dishonest behaviours. And again, it could be a two-way street, but that's not a justification for potential wrongdoings. Something as well as I've tried to do as I've matured as well is be more vocal about certain things. Like, say, there'd be stuff I had to speak to my mum about that she was blissfully unaware of, that would have explained certain behaviours through childhood, as like having the balls to do that, having the balls to apologise to people that you've potentially hurt as well, and just sort of righting some wrongs as well, instead of being too cold cutting people off, just block, delete, whatever. And then also knowing that some people you just need to remove them as well. Like, some people, it might feel like they have your best intentions at heart, but it's not really a two-way street. It's more an exchange. And again, there may have been times in my life where people's felt like that as well. And if I reflect on those things and the more, call it deep work, call it whatever you want, try to better understand yourself and become this person that I'm proclaiming Primitiv Evolve can teach people about, is I need to take that on the chin. If I have the balls to go and compete and face whatever dangers that brings, surely I can have difficult conversations. Surely I can sit down if I feel like I've wronged somebody and apologise for that, whether it be digitally, whether it be face to face, and actually own that as a man as well, not just try and bury it, because you guarantee you bury it, it's still going to keep growing as well. It's just that the roots are going to get deeper and deeper. And if trees are in it to go by, anything with deep roots doesn't fall over too easy in high winds.
No, accountability, isn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of, you know, listen, I've personally made like loads of mistakes through life, and I'd be hard to find somebody that hasn't made mistakes through life. As you said there, I think being able to own them, as I said, it's not any justification just to say sorry or to own up, just be like, yep, it was me, or yep, I've done wrong. That's not you justifying going, yeah, but I said I was sorry. Sometimes just owning it for your own self, just for your own development.
Speak about it openly. And
100%.
So again, a big thing for me is I used to have a bit of shame as to what happened as a child, even though it was out of my control. Yep. And it led to like a whole host of things happening as a child, like bullying and stuff as well, because I was vocal about it, so then I repressed it a lot. And I would talk about it a lot on these weekend antics I spoke about, but I would never talk about it in this sort of frame of mind. Yep. It was almost like a discomfort, again a shame. But I was like, I don't need to feel shame, I need to just be able to speak about it. I need to realise like it's not a defining moment. It's like you fall, you cut your hand, you might have a scar, but you don't walk about the rest of your life talking to people about how that one time you fell, and like poor me, like I fell 30 years ago. Fuck, I'll be like, right, cool, now you're 60. Like, you're still talking about when you fell when you're 4. Like, talk about it, but like, don't try and let it be this defining moment of pity. Yeah, it's like defining, isn't it? You don't let. There's obviously certain things that happen that you do really let shape you. Yeah. Letting things define you is a total different ball game, isn't it? In terms of you and letting things define you, you know, talk about Primitiv Evolve. Do you feel like it's more than just a business? Bigger? Do you feel it's bigger than yourself personally? Yeah, definitely. And that's why again I'd reached out to you guys as well. I wanted to come speak to you as well. It's cool the conversations you're having as well. And again, I think the earlier episode has started in this building as well, but maybe more so towards like the cafe and stuff. As I was listening through and stuff, and just get a background on who you guys were. Yeah. Then obviously today I found out about the other wee thing you are working on as well. Yeah. And then also to find out like, right, if I was to do this, what do I need? Because I've been on other podcasts, got diffusers, everything in that as well, like really cool. Whoa. Yeah. And then it comes to you guys as well. You are in this cool wee space, and you are leveraging like natural light and stuff as well. Yeah. That's an avenue I want to explore. It was a goal for the year. We're now in almost approaching November. Yeah. No one bit of long form content out, but collated bits of kit and stuff like that. Yeah. And had the conversations. Exactly that, and invest in it. That was the two. I'm in a position to do both. And again, it was to come in and experience stuff like this. I see like what do you need? Like you got your technical side of things, and you said again you do more so the interviewing side of things as well. And I have these conversations, and hopefully for you guys as well, let some of the guys I work with and that follow me see you guys as well. Because again, you have some cool people on, people hopefully will listen to. Scottish as well. Again, a bit of national pride as well, as it's like a small country. Be nice for the world to see us as well, and anyone else who's on my page for being all over the world. I get some of the messages I get are ridiculous. Large proportion of them coming from men being the ridiculous ones, men that like the look of me, and then obviously like a lot of sensible stuff coming through my inbox as well. Again, something else you sort of forget about it is like the more exposure you have to the world, the more nonsense is going to come your way, good and bad. Yeah,
don't worry, we've experienced both here so far in this very short time. And you said that about your obviously people messaging you from across the world, and I like your videos in terms of they're not just this is how you do a squat, pick the bar up, put it on your back, get low, get high, good job. It's like you have a wee bit acting to it as well. What's the influences behind those videos then?
Communicate effectively is a big thing I've had to work on. So that's I studied during uni as well. I would realise when I was volunteering and stuff, my communication was shocking. Like it must have been, I don't know what it was like before that sort of period where I actually focused on what a good communicator was. And ironically, it was when the big orange-haired fella was in his first presidency. Don't know if it was to let's say his name and butcher your analytics, but it was actually like papers were coming out and discussing how well these types of people communicate and how they captivate attention. The sound bites, the jingles, you could sit and list them and even more so again the Greek guy I'd mentioned, he was at me like, you need to communicate better, and even still he's like communication skills are getting better. But you're going to need to learn to pace yourself, to speak slower for people that are maybe operating slightly slower, or for people that are operating fast, like you're operating as well as you're going to be able to run off their energy, but you cannot speak that fast to people that are operating at not operating at your frequency. Sorry.
Yeah, you need to slow down, don't you? In terms of yourself, and you talk about having to slow things down for people to understand, because giving too much information too quickly, overloading, can cause people to just switch off. What do people kind of misunderstand about yourself, do you think?
That's a good question. I've asked this a couple of times on my social media. Somebody I used to train with, a female, and I've coached and stuff as well, she actually was like making an assumption about me, and I'll tell you if it's right or wrong, and she wrote, looks like a prick. He's actually a really nice guy, and I would say large portion of people I think get that, and some people are probably right. Like I try and just say it how it is as much as I can. Sometimes maybe a wee bit too insensitive with it. Be more sensitive. Like your mate's gone through a bit of rough time. Is trying not to go in too deep about the person he potentially loves or whatever. But also, I feel like if there's something that's evident, and it's evident across people, is like, let's just say it. Let's just say it as somebody's stinking or whatever. Be like, bud, you need to get the socks off. You get the socks off. Like your socks in your shoes, or you're going to sit in here the day, bud. You're one of us.
Well, that's you no hinting.
And sit with his toes out up on the desk. Again, it's like I would say it can be a wee bit abrupt, but not necessarily meant in a bad way. It's just again, it's the filter or lack of as maybe perceived as being a wee bit too harsh on some things. But again, I don't get a lot of bites on social media anymore. There's not actually anyone that pipes up, which I'm kind of looking for, is for fun discussions. When I do post stuff, I'm not posting it to belittle people's training and stuff like that. There's like 8,000 people or something on the fallen end, and a couple thousand at my side. There's so much stuff that's gone through that's probably not targeted at any one person. It's very much just things I'm plucking out of the meta or casual viewing as well, that I would like to stir up a wee bit of controversy with as well.
I know it's sometimes controversy isn't a bad thing. I think done the right way, especially if you're not meant any intention by it. I don't see Probably personally.
Probably the best way I could define it is what Charlotte says. It's like, looks like a prick, but is actually a nice guy. I would say that's probably the perception of many, and I think a lot of people get a wee surprise with that as well. Even more so if you get to work from as well, you'll see like it's very much less of the sort of audacious side. Again, jump out waving like rubber fists.
Well, people haven't listened to this and took away the professional side, then they'll know listening. In terms of then Primitiv Evolve, to wrap up, where do you see that going in the next kind of 5 years?
I would definitely say I would like to expand one, as I was saying, into like long form stuff, podcasting and stuff. So I feel like that's in that next natural gravitation. Long form content being one of stuff I could do solo and stuff, and like maybe science deep dives, and then podcasts is a big one. There's a lot of interesting characters I've interacted with that have either coached me, or that I've lived with, or that I've just crossed paths with. I would like the world to hear, and it's the one thing I keep getting drawn back to is podcasts. I think everybody listens to podcasts. We would all like to put something out there and whatnot. But in terms of coaching and stuff as well, I'd like to scale. I did consider, it's something I've been pondering on as well, as like staffing, like having somebody else on board. But I feel like I would like to hit the ceiling with Primitiv Evolve, and then bring in some products as well, because I understand that the monthly rolling's not for everybody. It's again, it's a certain financial commitment for people. I would like people to still be able to experience what I can offer, maybe through some sort of portal or some sort of one-time purchase product that's maybe delivered through automation as well, where you can still get the coaching side of things, but maybe not with the one-to-one interaction that certain people would only be able to afford. So then it becomes available for more people. And again, that's the two sort of ways I'm going with it as well. I'm going to apply a lot more time and energy towards podcasts and stuff as well, and the coaching side of things as well, is again hit that ceiling. I know what my ceiling is as well, so I don't dilute what I offer, and also bring in more products as well, because some people are only looking for nutrition and that's all they want. They see what I do, they're like, you're the man, I love what you're doing. And again, merchandise and stuff as well, something I've played about with as well. I really like the idea of like a activewear kind of brand and stuff, and I've played out with some vendors and stuff like that, but I think the top dogs are China for making merch and everything like that as well. You need to pay to play. It's MLQ stuff. It also needs to be cool, because nobody's wearing anything that's stinking as well.
No, that's the thing in it nowadays. You need to get that balance right. And in terms of something that actually not touched on massively is the science element of it. And obviously you've worked with athletes alongside your kind of everyday, working person. And in terms of the differences between your athletes and then just your kind of, the normal kind of day-to-day workers, do you feel that they're both as science-based and want that kind of really performance-enhancing stuff? Because, like a normal person want to lift heavier or move a certain way. What's the main differences you see between the
I would say there's two types of people. There's one that like the sound of coaching, and some people just want coaches who want to show up, they want to do the thing, and they don't want too much of the science. And then I think there's a finite number of people that want to absorb anything you can present them with. And I've seen that at the highest of levels, guys that's been fighting for titles, that they want to absorb anything you can present them with. And they're a very unique type of person with quite a different mindset. They're constantly thirsty for more. And then there's also people that they just like, tell me what to do and when to do it, and I will do it. And I guarantee I can present you with the results. And then of course there's people that it doesn't matter what you present them with, and what you do is they're just not going to do the thing. And it's a tough thing to accept as a coach as well, because you'll look at other coaches, you'll see again the social proof and whatever else is they're good with those types of things. But there's a handful of people in life, and again I've worked with them, especially combat sports was a highlight of that as well. You think anyone who wants to fight is a serious individual, whereas it's not the case. I found the most talented fighters, like the ones that can just fight, obviously they've got the skill acquisition and stuff, and some of them are wild. Like there is no way you can tell them what to do. John Jones, I'll use him because then I don't need to name anyone that may be known, but John Jones, madman. I don't doubt he probably done the thing when it comes to nutrition and stuff like that, but he's been very open about like the other side of the lifestyle that he was consumed in. And then you got other guys who are like, they They have a constant thirst to be better and to constantly be evolving themselves. You can maybe use like a George St. Pierre as an example of that, or somebody like anyone who works with like someone like Andy Galpin, is you're working with a very serious, science-driven individual who's probably going to oversaturate you with knowledge and information. And if you can use and apply that, you'll potentially the best version of yourself emerge from that.
Yeah, no, it's I said I was interested to get your take on it, because, as you said, you worked with both sides. You know, me myself, not massively worked, if anything, not worked with any athletes at all. So, you know, getting your point on how detailed they want to be with their own performance and their own development is obviously really interesting to listen to. In terms of your final message then, just to give us a cap us off, to anyone listening who feels stuck, who's wanting help, looking to change, done the same shit over and over and over, what would you say to them?
So write it down, sign it, date it, put your word on it, that is your word, handwrite it, sign it and date it, stick it on your fridge. I do that with anything I want to achieve, whether it's competition goals, personal goals. I do it at the start of every year as well, and I try and again I'll reassess my values now as well. Now that's something else I've added. Yep. But for me, it's like I like to sign stuff, date it. I think I stole that from Dorian Yates. He's like, that's your word as a man, all you have is your word. And again, same's true when it comes to personal relationships and stuff as well. Out with like a legally binding marriage contract or whatever, it's like your word is everything. If you really want to do something, you're willing to write it down, sign it, date it, stick it on the fridge. Fridge is probably one of the things you have most access to in your house that you're constantly going to revisit. And if not, I would use a 6-minute diary. Don't know if you've seen or used them as well. Something I'll buy a lot of people as well as gifts, and it uses positive psychology, and it gives you like a introduction to start it. Then it starts to get you doing daily gratitude, ask you if you've done a good deed for the day or what it was, ask you how you can be better, gives you a quote, and then ask you to revisit at night with evening gratitude as well, 3 things you're grateful for at night. And then at the end of each month it will recap it. If you want to read more books, if you want to learn a language, it's asking you, like, did you do that on these days? Yes, no, how are you scoring this? And then as it progresses through, it will deliver more and more positive psychology. So if you're stuck, there's a system that you can do it for business and for personal. Currently on the business one, I've done the personal one, and again for 30 quid, that is your blueprint to whatever a better you is, if it's personal goals, professional goals, athletic goals.
That's absolutely brilliant in terms of everything we've spoke about today. Like, you're doing such amazing things, and honestly, we can sit here and say you're going to continue to do amazing things, keep doing them, mate, because having you talk about all this, as I said, a real different path, if you like, something, you know, I've not been used to listening to, a real different point of view is always welcomed. And yeah, I just want to thank you so much for coming in, mate, and sharing all your knowledge.
Likewise,
some man, keep doing what you're doing.